This caller is so good, James. This caller is brilliant. Ian says this caller has nailed it. Time to move on to another topic. She's closed this one down.
Well, that was Susan from Croydon, James O'Brien was talking about, where the topic of conversation was about, basically, the weekend fury from a certain former Prime Minister. I think you can guess which one I'm talking about here. Yes, Spafford Johnson. And about how Brexit's been overturned and the will of the people being ignored. It's an utter scandal and total fake outrage. Pathetic, really. Well, the thing is, at the same time, he also brought up the situation where people like us believe that Keir Starmer should actually grow a pair and be more daring and do stuff like rejoining the single market and custom union as well. So it was an interesting conversation and a take. Well, Susan had a very, very interesting take on this. Enjoy.
Hiya. Well, I think it actually makes sense what he's doing, because if you think about it, there are so many problems they have to fix with public services. Everybody feels poor. There's nobody can get a hospital appointment in a timely manner. Everything is creaking. And at the end, if you think about what his objective has to be at the end of his of their time in power, people on the street have to feel better off. Otherwise, if they don't feel better off in their everyday life, then you're going to have what happened in the U.S., where Trump gets elected on sort of this MAGA platform. So if he even starts looking at Brexit in this particular parliament, then he's just going to be giving oxygen to people like Reform, and they will eventually probably get in, because the man on the street won't feel better off. And the thing is, Brexit, if he starts talking about it, it's going to consume so much energy to try and do it. He's going to be batting that. You won't be able to do the other stuff. Now, there's a catch-22.
Yes.
If you were to actually reverse Brexit, chances are you'd have more money to fix the public services and people would feel better off.
There's no chances about it, but that is
but no, it will happen. It's true, but it won't happen in 5 years.
No,
so what will happen is all of the brouhaha about Brexit and the oxygen for Farage, etc., will be there. They will get in, and none of the benefits will actually come through. So better to focus his first parliament on making people feel better off, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they actually are able to do it with the limited funds that they have, so they get in again, and that's when they talk about it. And during that time, stories like Marks and Spencer's and their warehouse of red tape, etc., could be building.
And it's a very strong view, actually, and it has the benefit of fitting almost all of the available facts and a little bit of tinkering in the meantime, which will prompt a hysterical response from the likes of the Mail or Johnson. That's just an occupational hazard, but he can't do any more than what he's trying to do for two reasons. Number one, as you say, there's only so many battles you can fight. There's only so many fronts that you can fight on at the same time. And number two, the achievable rewards are relatively small, so he can't overpromise. Why do you think? And there's one flaw in the parallel with America, and one flaw only, and it's contained within the question I'm about to ask you. Why do you think the people who sold the country Brexit and who delivered Brexit have thus far managed to avoid any observable responsibility for its reality? It's whether you're talking about Farage or Johnson, why have the key salesmen? And don't forget that Farage greased Boris Johnson's passage into Downing Street back in 2019 and described Liz Truss's fiscal calamity as the best budget he'd seen in 50 years. So how do these people manage to carry no can whatsoever for the reality of things like the Marks and Spencer story and the hit to GDP?
I think it's because of the acceptance of quote-unquote alternative facts.
Yeah.
And I think that in the last 10, 15 years, there's been that narrative peddled that you can't trust the mainstream media. There's all, the proliferation of social media. You've got all of these lies that are out there.
So
and
people can choose to believe that Brexit is going really well and just shut their, or that it could have gone much better if only ... or there is a brilliant Brexit, but it goes to a different school. And the emotional relief you get from not having to take responsibility for being completely mugged in 2016 makes you double down on the alternative.
There's actually a psychological theory for that called cognitive dissonance. I studied psych when I was at university.
No, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. So what that basically means is that if you take a stance on something, even a small one, then even when the facts come later on to disprove that, you're going to double down on it. because otherwise it means that you're wrong. And some people can't do it, become that cognitive dissonance. I'm a smart person. I can't have made such a stupid mistake. Therefore, I will cling to every scrap
that lets
tells me what I want to
protect
know.
my self-regard. And then the element missing, or rather to marry your analysis to something that has come previously, it's very, very hard to address that without telling these people that they're stupid, or without saying things that make them think that
Not stupid, just misled. Because the thing is, the other bit I was going to say,
no, but when
the
he
other reason
starts
is that even the mainstream media has been peddling the lies.
Well, that's very true.
Do you see what I mean? So
yes,
if you hear that, the Daily Mail, so these reputable, so it's not just social media, right?
No.
It's the reputable, because 80% of the, I can't remember the figure, of British media is controlled by people with that kind of an agenda.
Yes, absolutely.
So you're reading it from so you actually think, so I'm not saying people are stupid, I'm just saying they've been misled.
Yeah, but the people that you're up against will say that they're calling you stupid, and so Starmer has to avoid that a bit as well. I mean, I've tried the misled thing. I'll tell you what, Susan, I think people think you should probably be doing my holiday cover. This caller is so good, James. This caller is brilliant. Ian says this caller has nailed it. Time to move on to another topic. She's closed this one down. It's I hope you take these compliments in the spirit that they're intended. Time for a different topic. This caller has nailed it. Thank you for that, Susan. It's a beautiful marriage of some of the thoughts that had already been expressed to some that hadn't, and the biggest defence yet of the policies or the approach that he's adopting. You can't fight on every front. You'll be depleted. His priorities are measurable improvement in people's lives. The catch-22 is, yes, this would help with that, but it would come at a cost that at the moment in the first term he can't afford to pay.
Now, I do agree about the part about making people feel better off. Now, whether Labour managed to do it or not, only time will tell, won't it? Because if they do, let's say if they do, will Reform and the Tories become less relevant? I don't know. Only time will tell. Also, when asked about if he did bring Brexit up, it would consume so much energy, was interesting. And something I'd not really contemplated. So it was an interesting take. And when it came to saying, let's just say, he did rejoin, would they feel the full benefits before the first term? I don't know. And also what I found interesting is the point that, as I still have friends who still believe Brexit is brilliant and believe this nonsense, that Starmer will have us rejoining the evil overlords of the European Union by this time next Tuesday, or if not even sooner. And that's when she brought up the alternative facts, and that's when it just rang true for me. Because over the weekend, went to watch the football. We won 1-0, yes. And let's just say I bumped into a friend who believes all this nonsense, and let's just say conversation about this and that. And when I gave him a little pushback, I get this a lot from some of them, they run away. And that's what he did, he just ran away. And she does get his info from places like GBB's, and he's a Farage fanboy, and also a Tommy 10 Names fanboy as well. So what there you go. Now you might say, why are you friends with these people? But he's a football fan, he supports the same team as me, and I'm not going to fall out over politics when it comes to watching my football team. Over the weekend, that's my moment to chill out and relax, and I'm not really going to fall out over politics. But it was just interesting that he ran away. And also, that's the reason why I enjoyed this call. It was just an interesting call of some of the things that I'd not contemplated before, and it was just interesting. So I just wanted to know, what was your thoughts? Do you agree with her? If you do, let me know why. And if you don't, let me know why down below, and I shall just bid you farewell and take care, my friends.